Merry Christmas, Dodger fans, or Christmas Eve technically. How's everyone doing today? And thank you guys for tuning in to an episode of the Incline Dodgers podcast presented by Tick Pick and Fansided. Kevin Klein here, rolling solo to knock out an hour or so to give time to you Dodger fans to cover some topics, answer some questions, have fun here. I don't know if you guys are cooking or you're getting some Christmas presents wrapped, but thank you guys for watching with me this next hour or so. We're going to talk some Dodger baseball. There's some really interesting stuff that's going on in Dodgerland. So I want to make sure that we get to any of your guys' questions, cover the latest rumors. We've got some big free agency updates and maybe some trades that we'll talk about. But yeah, we're recording on Christmas Eve. And what's up, Nando 390, dropping in a take right now. $17 million for Michael Conforto, a mistake. Love for you to elaborate on that because honestly, I don't know how it's a mistake yet. Conforto is yet to suit up for the Dodgers. He's got a clean slate in my book, and I'm excited to see what he does in Dodger Blue. Daniel Berry Sports Highlights, thank you for joining me. What's going on, Daniel? Hope you're having a very nice day. Your Los Angeles Dodgers here on Christmas Eve are, of course, World Series champions, and they've got a pretty stacked team, but they still got some moves to make. We've yet to get any update really in the last few days regarding one of the Dodgers' big sluggers in Teoscar Hernandez. I'm surprised that we have not gotten a decision by now regarding Teoscar Hernandez. I thought this would be one of the easiest decisions for the Dodgers and Teoscar Hernandez to get this settled, but here we are, Christmas Eve, December 24th, and Teoscar Hernandez is still a free agent. There's a few teams that are reportedly in on him, with, of course, one being the Dodgers. Toronto Blue Jays are in the race. Boston Red Sox are a dark horse and a threat to potentially sign Teoscar Hernandez. But besides that, I mean, it's really just those three teams and maybe one other sleeper team. But regardless, if we go back to earlier this year, we're going all the way back into January. That was the last time Teoscar Hernandez was a free agent, just a year ago. And he didn't reach an agreement with any team until January 7th. So here we are on December 24th. And if we believe in repeats, the last time Teoscar Hernandez was a free agent and made a decision was on January 7th. So I'm not panicking yet. Clearly, this is a big decision for Teoscar because probably in his mind, this is his last big shot to get a big payday. And he's going to take his time. I mean, why jump into something? Clearly, something's not going right on his end in terms of his market. I think he thought he would be getting offered a lot more coming off a World Series championship, a Silver Slugger, a home run derby, a monster year with over 30 home runs and the big power. And shockingly, maybe to him, he's not getting the big payday. 3 years appears to be the magic 3 years appears to be the magic number, which I think is what he wants, is the 3 years. But it apparently is the money. And that's what Ken Rosenthal reported. It's not about the years right now for Teoscar Hernandez. It's the money. And he's seeking somewhere between $22 to $24 million annually. So if we were to juice that up, that's 3 years, $72 million appears to be the magic number. Some reports are that the Dodgers are going only up to $60 million. So there is a discrepancy in terms of what Teoscar wants and what the Dodgers are offering. I think the best solution would be to just meet in the middle, give Teoscar Hernandez what he's earned. I know that there are some red flags with the strikeouts. He strikes out a whole lot. He whiffs a lot. And defensively, he's not a very optimal outfielder, especially in right field. You would not want Teoscar Hernandez to play right field for you, especially if you have aspirations for winning a championship. But left field, despite the numbers suggesting he wasn't a good defensive left fielder, it felt like the Dodgers were able to get by with it. There were other holes defensively, and Teoscar Hernandez never really felt like a liability out there in the outfield. So personally, I'm not too concerned about giving Teoscar the 3 years, $72 million, if that's what it takes. I think he's in the prime of his career, and he would at least have two, if not maybe all 3 years, be an effective bat. So more thoughts on Teoscar in just a couple of minutes, but I want to get to the chat. I want to read your guys' questions, read your guys' comments. Craig Osterberg, thank you so much for your Merry Christmas comment yesterday. Thank you for tuning in, Craig. Roy Estrada in the house. responding to Nando, Conforto will win you over. Solid player for 1 year. You will see. Trust. The OG, meaning probably Andrew Friedman. MG tuning in. What's up, MG? Let me know how you're doing out there. We got Jeffrey Akun in the building. What is up, Jeffrey? Mike Boyer. Merry Christmas, Dodger fans. May Dodgers get Roki Sasaki and Teoscar Hernandez. We'll talk about Christmas wants, but you just named the two guys I'm most certainly all about, Roki Sasaki and Teoscar Hernandez. Craig mentioning that the Dodgers still need a right-handed bat. Definitely agree with that. Let me know what you guys are up to tonight. What you guys are up to for Christmas Day. What are your guys' traditions? Drop them below in the chat, and let's see what you guys got going on. For me personally, Christmas is more just relaxation and no true traditions. Just watching some Christmas movies, eating some Christmas things, watching sports, just relaxing, honestly, and hoping that the Dodgers make moves here in the offseason. So I want to post real quick to the social media that we're live talking Dodger baseball. And then we'll get to some topics here in just a second. And definitely got some segments today. I know that it's been pretty quiet for the Dodgers the last week or so. No big moves as we continue to wait on Teoscar Hernandez. And honestly, it just kind of feels like Teoscar Hernandez is one of the biggest holdups in this Dodgers offseason right now. Once they're able to figure out what goes on with him, I feel like the rest of the moves will kind of just become a domino snowfall effect. And so once we get the decision with Teoscar Hernandez, I think that frees up a lot of flexibility with what the Dodgers are about to do. And starting to get the sense that they might be a little impatient right now with this whole Teoscar, and that's why they're starting to look into alternatives. So we'll discuss the alternatives. Some of them I like, some of them I'm not crazy, but that's what's the offseason is here. So let's see. So live talking Dodgers, posting that, get some more people in the house. If you haven't hit that like button, please hit the like button. Do me that Christmas solid right now. That's all I'm asking for you guys is like buttons and subscriptions. Hit the subscribe button. Showtime LA tuning in. What's up, Showtime? Love Shohei Ohtani, the GOAT. Showtime saying, bring us Lou Bob Teo ship. Bring us Lou Bob. Teo ship has sailed. I don't know if you mean Luis Robert, but that's what it sounds like. Roy Estrada prediction tonight. A signing is announced to the Dodgers, present to Dodger fans. Well, I cannot talk. Mike Boyer, today is Cushmas. Hope your day is smoking. Dodgers, Kings fan, Tanner Scott to the Dodgers. And Craig agrees we need Tanner Scott. So we'll talk about Tanner Scott probably later on in the show and some other relief options. So the Dodgers, Teoscar Hernandez. This is where we currently are. And Ken Rosenthal, everyone says, despite the Dodgers and Teoscar Hernandez yet to come to an agreement, everyone still thinks that Teoscar Hernandez and the Dodgers are going to get this deal done. And honestly, I was having some doubts over the last few days. And then I woke up yesterday kind of feeling dangerous. And for some reason, my confidence level got very high again. And I too believe that the Dodgers and Teoscar Hernandez are going to get this deal done. It's just a matter of patience. And why I think this is starting to really benefit the Dodgers' favor right now is clearly there's no market for Teoscar Hernandez. If teams were really adamant about signing Teoscar Hernandez, this probably would have been done by now. And because Teoscar Hernandez is still out there, the Red Sox appear to be shifting focuses. They might be going after Alex Bregman. You've got the Toronto Blue Jays, who are certainly a threat, but they've traded Teoscar Hernandez before. Does Teoscar Hernandez really want to go back to a franchise that's traded him in the past? I still ultimately think they're going to go after Santander. And basically, this is like another Freddie Freeman situation where until the Dodgers trade for an outfielder, that sets it up for a reunion to bring back Teoscar Hernandez. So as long as they don't trade for one of these outfielders that could potentially be available, I think eventually there's going to just be a scenario where Teoscar Hernandez kind of has to settle, maybe didn't get the dollar amount he was hoping for, and hopefully he doesn't take it personally or has a begrudgingly effect and has to give in to whatever the Dodgers are offering, because I think at this point in time, the Dodgers made their final contract offer. It's probably something in the ballpark and neighborhood of 3 years, 60 million or so. And it's a take it or leave it at this point. And I think the Dodgers are comfortable with their franchise and their ability to find other outfielders and other pieces. And certainly if I was in the Dodgers front office, I might be a little more aggressive with what I'd offer Teoscar, but I'm not in charge, and the Dodgers front office just brought us a World Series. So they've got a number that they're comfortable, and they don't want to go above that number. And I get it, because they're in a situation where they're in that most expensive luxury tax threshold. So anyone that they're going to sign, there's an insane tax on it. You're essentially paying a little over double. So if Teoscar Hernandez is getting a $20 million contract this year, you're paying him $40 million because of the tax and the penalties. And you just got to kind of respect the Dodgers at this point. I mean, it's not like they're completely out of options or out of resources. Worst case scenario, it's Andy Pages becomes your starting corner outfielder and pair him with Michael Conforto. So I think the Dodgers know they have the depth. They've got guys in the farm system that will eventually make a name for themselves down the pipeline. Eventually, Josue DePaulo will be a Major League Baseball player, maybe not till 2027 or so, but they've got him, and they can definitely make a trade. So unfortunately, I'm not going to lose my mind over this. Whatever happens with Teoscar, it happens. I'm not going to fault the guy for wanting to chase that big contract. I know some people, I can even see it in the chat, are calling it greedy. It's a business. This is Teoscar's one true shot to get a big payday, and you kind of have to just go with what your options are. And eventually it'll all fall into fruition, and he's either going to be a Dodger and maybe not get paid what he's want, or he's going to have to hope that a team like Boston or Toronto ups their offer and it works out for Teoscar financially. But if Teoscar wants to win and be a potential back-to-back champion, continue the great clubhouse chemistry, then it's kind of a no-brainer to just return back to the Los Angeles Dodgers and get back in the mindset of trying to win another championship. So throw my prediction out there now. I think Teoscar Hernandez will make a decision by January 7th to repeat what we saw earlier this year and last offseason. So calling it now, Teoscar, we get that decision within the next 2 weeks. Screen grab this, take it to the bank, calling it now. So let's get to some comments. Let's get to some questions. Drop them below in the chat. We've got new people tuning in. Maria G in the house. What's up, Maria G? How's your Christmas going? Dennis Gonzalez wishing everyone season greetings. Thank you so much for tuning in, Dennis. Maria G, where does Jack Flaherty go? Fantastic question, because Jack Flaherty is one of those pitchers that we just saw win a World Series championship with the Dodgers. And he had a couple meltdowns in October, but he also had a couple generational starts. And you would think a team that's looking to win now would want to pay Jack Flaherty and add him to their rotation. Maybe it's the number, maybe it's the dollar figures. The expectation is that Jack Flaherty is looking for a contract of 5 or 6 years, upwards of at least over $100 million. You can pretty much rule the Dodgers out on that. They're not going to give Jack Flaherty 5 or 6 years, but you would think that there's maybe a contender or a team in the middle of the pack that would like a guy like Jack Flaherty in their rotation. Maybe Detroit tries to get him back, even though they traded him a year ago, try to win back Jack Flaherty. Maybe a disastrous team like the Angels decides they want to pay Jack Flaherty. But it's interesting that there really hasn't been a whole lot of momentum with Jack Flaherty. It doesn't look like he's going to the Mets. They pretty much filled out their rotation. I don't think the New York Yankees are going to spend on Jack Flaherty at this point. It sounds like the Boston Red Sox have filled out their rotation. I don't think Baltimore wants him back, because when they traded for him a year ago at the deadline, Jack Flaherty was bad for the Orioles. So I don't know. It doesn't feel like there's a lot of suitors out there right now for Jack Flaherty. Maybe you guys can drop some suggestions, but honestly, I don't know. It's an interesting one. I mean, he could go to the Giants potentially if they miss out on Corbin Burns. I think Jack Flaherty for the San Francisco Giants, as much as it would pain us and probably pain Jack Flaherty since he's a Dodger fan going to the Giants, it does make a lot of sense in theory for a team like San Francisco to try to go after Jack Flaherty, or Toronto, two teams that are considered one of the top contenders for Corbin Burns. It would be a nice consolation prize to get Jack Flaherty. We've got Justin Yamas in the house. Justin was on the show last week. Thank you for helping out, talking some Dodgers baseball. He's back in California. He was in France for the last few months. He's back on Pacific Coast time. What's up, Justin? Merry Christmas to you. Dennis Gonzalez, please, Dodgers, let us get the gift of re-signing Teoscar for Christmas. That's all I want for Christmas is Teoscar Hernandez signing with the Los Angeles Dodgers. Javier T, why is the leash so long for Gavin Lux? I wish I had the answer for you because he doesn't impress me, but this could be the year Gavin Lux gets traded. Maybe more on Gavin Lux when we talk about the alternatives in a second. Let's see what we've got. Dodgers Kings fan. Did you all see the Mets, what the Mets did with the deferrals with Sean Manaea? Absolutely. You don't see fans and people complaining now about the deferrals, do you? Because it's not the Dodgers. So let's say Teoscar Hernandez and the Dodgers just don't work it out, and Teoscar Hernandez goes to another team. That would suck. But it appears that the Dodgers, and this is per The Athletic, they are exploring other options. And I'll start with my preferred option, and we'll run it down to the least preferred option. So there's three options right now. Right-handed bats, which I know Craig earlier mentioned that the Dodgers are looking for a right-handed bat, and he's absolutely correct. The Dodgers are looking for a right-handed bat, and they've got a couple outfielders they're targeting and maybe one infielder, shortstop, second baseman. Who knows? But Luis Robert, of the three that we're going to talk about, Luis Robert would be my preferred target. It's going to be the most expensive of the three. So first of all, for Luis Robert, his contract right now with the Chicago White Sox, looks like he's due about 15. I don't know if that's right. 15 million. I guess that's 15 million. There's a luxury tax of 8 million. I'm trying to figure out what the math here is. 15 million. So I guess Luis Robert is only owed $15 million for 2025. So not bad. Then he has a club option for 2026 with a $2 million buyout. Then he has a club option for 2027, another $2 million buyout. Both these options, if exercised, would be $20 million in salary. So potentially, if you like what you get with Luis Robert, you've got him under team control for 3 more years, and then he's a free agent in 2028. This was a 6-year, $50 million contract extension he had initially agreed to with the Chicago White Sox. He was god-awful last season. So we'll pull up his Savant page right now. And at one point, there was talk that Luis Robert was going to be the best player, position player-wise, on the free agent market. And then he just kind of had a dog shit season and really, really fell off. So share my screen right now. We look at his Baseball Savant page. -15 batting run value. That is just abysmal right there. The expected batting average of 210, very bad slug, horrible strikeout tendencies. He basically was one of the biggest strikeout guys in all of Major League Baseball. Didn't walk a whole lot, chased a lot. Defensively, he is solid, and you've got a pretty sound guy out there in center field. And he's very fast, as you can see, elite sprint speed stuff. But all in all, in 425 plate appearances, 88 hits, just 14 home runs, 224 batting average, 657 OPS. Not good from Luis Robert. And his WRC plus was in the 80s. I think it was like 86 or something. That's not very good for a guy that's touted as supposedly potentially one of the top 5 center fielders in all of Major League Baseball. And the drop off could be attributed to injuries. It could have been attributed to lack of motivation for playing for one of the worst teams ever assembled in Major League Baseball. The White Sox were a disaster, but he was bad. If we look at kind of the good Luis Robert in 2023, look at the batting run value, a plus 19, fielding run value of 12. He had a 13 outs above average, an elite defensive center fielder. This was easily his best season ever. He basically played a full season, had 38 home runs, 264 batting average, 857 OPS. I'm not a big fan of that on base. It's a little too low for my liking, like a 315 on base, kind of low. But you look at these Reds right here, really barreled up on the ball. Sweet spot he took major advantage of. The slugging was there. Like I said, 38 home runs and great defensively, and he's fast. So that's the ceiling with Luis Robert. So you kind of got to see both sides, him at his worst and him at his best. Moving forward, I would expect him to be somewhere in the middle of that. So I think best case scenario, you're looking at 25 to 28 home runs from Robert. Hopefully a batting average of like 240, on base of 320, and an OPS of hopefully slightly above 800. So it's kind of similar all in all to what you're getting from Teoscar Hernandez when healthy and when in his prime. The question, though, with Luis Robert is, what is he going to cost? What we've heard from the Chicago White Sox is that they want some impact now players, and that makes sense to me. I mean, the White Sox, they don't want to be dog shit and terrible forever, but I think the Dodgers would have to give something in order to get. So, drop some suggestions who you think the Dodgers should give up for Luis Robert. It's kind of interesting because he just had a terrible season, but I still think he would cost at least something. Sorry, just going on the social media real quick. One man show, as you can see. Sorry about the delay. Okay. So if I was the Dodgers and the White Sox, what I think it would take to get this deal done, I have to imagine you're able to get Gavin Lux thrown into this. The White Sox probably need an outfielder. I think this is where you get James Outman involved. So you got Gavin Lux, James Outman. You're going to have to give up something of value, though, to get Luis Robert. And I don't think a lot of people are going to agree with this, but I think if you throw in Zaire Hope, I think that almost gets the steal done. Maybe you got to throw in one pitcher like a Landon Knack, or I don't want to give up Justin Robleski, but I guess he's an option. Or you get creative and give them one of Tony Gonsolin or Dustin May. But I think that package right there is far more than enough, especially if you're willing to give up Zaire Hope, which I think would definitely swing the deal and get this done. But he's my target number one because you put him in center field. That really frees up the Dodgers now. You can put Michael Conforto in one corner, and then you can put Andy Pages most likely in the other corner. And then you move Tommy Edman to shortstop, I would hope. And then you got Mookie Betts, slide him over to second base. You got Muncy at third, Freeman at first. And you're looking at a pretty elite team right there. So, yeah, it sucks to lose Teoscar, but you replace Teoscar with Luis Robert, and you got something cooking there. Durability-wise, Robert is always hurt, and that kind of scares me. But maybe the Dodgers can figure something out to keep him healthy. Mike Boyer, Jack to the Peapods just to bug us. Probably talking about the Padres. Maria G believes that the Dodgers could still be in on Corbin Burns. Dennis Gonzalez, would Cartaya have value? I don't know if the Dodgers are willing to trade Diego Cartaya at this low of value right now. For them, it might make a lot more sense to make him their AAA starting catcher and maybe do Hunter Fiducia a solid and trade him to a team that's in need of a backup catcher. That would probably be my guess. But yeah, I think Hunter Fiducia needs to get traded just for his own sake so he can play somewhere. So option number 2 now, Seiya Suzuki. I don't know if the Chicago Cubs are as serious about trading him as some reports had initially indicated. It now seems like it's going the reverse way, and the Chicago Cubs intend to hold on to Seiya Suzuki. The issue with Seiya Suzuki maybe staying in Chicago is they view him as more of a DH only player. And so they don't really trust him defensively in the outfield. But for the Dodgers, throwing him into left field, I think that would be a pretty fine solution. I think Seiya Suzuki's got 2 years of control, not a crazy salary. Let's pull up Seiya Suzuki now and kind of take a look at what we've got with him. So here he is. That's a lot of red. So you look at the bat run value right there, a plus 28. I mean, this guy's a good hitter. I feel he might be one of the most underrated players in Major League Baseball. You don't hear about Seiya Suzuki a whole lot. Maybe it's because the Chicago Cubs have kind of been bad the last couple of years, so he kind of flies under the radar. But I see a whole lot of red. I mean, look at that excellent discipline right there. He rarely chases. He hits the ball very hard. He barrels up, a lot of slug, and he just puts the ball in play. So a lot to like here with Seiya Suzuki. You can see defensively, not the best outfielder, negative outs above average and fielding run value. But I mean, if you look at Teoscar Hernandez, which I can pull up in a second, Seiya looks a lot better defensively even than Teoscar Hernandez. So I wouldn't be mad at the addition. I mean, a 283 hitter, 366 on base, 848 OPS, 21 home runs, 145 base hits. I mean, this is a good baseball player. I mean, there's no reason to be dissatisfied if the Dodgers were able to work something out and get a Seiya Suzuki. I think he'd be a great add and a great fit for the Dodgers. So I love the idea of adding Seiya Suzuki. I think he's a very tremendous baseball player, and obviously with him being from Japan as well, see he's 30 years of age. He's going to fit in perfectly with the clubhouse. You got 2 Japanese sluggers now with Shohei Ohtani and Seiya Suzuki potentially. Not to mention you've got Yoshinobu Yamamoto and hopefully Roki Sasaki, which we'll talk about. But just for reference, for what you would get with Teoscar Hernandez. So let's pull up him real quick. So again, another hitter with a lot of red. So this is why we want Teoscar Hernandez back. I mean, look at that. The bat run value pretty much on par with what you get from Seiya Suzuki. A lot of power, pretty good batting average overall. I mean, he had 272 for the Dodgers, which definitely exceeded my expectations. 840 OPS, 33 home runs. He had a tremendous season. His weaknesses clearly are the defense and his inability to be disciplined and avoid strikeouts. But when Teoscar Hernandez makes contact with the baseball, it's hit hard, it's hit far, and you get 33 home runs plus the big damage he did in the postseason. I mean, the guy was one of the MVPs of the World Series. I mean, Freddie Freeman stole the show, but you can't forget what Teoscar Hernandez did for the Dodgers in that World Series. He was sensational as well and had big hits throughout the regular season. So Teoscar is still my priority, but Roberts 1, Seiya Suzuki's 2. Number 3, the other option that the Dodgers were linked to, and let me pull up him. This would be the one that I'm not moved by this thought at all. Ha-Seong Kim is the other name that the Dodgers were linked to, and honestly, I don't know if I would be on board with it. So let's pull up Ha-Seong Kim. You can see him right there. So in terms of the bat last season, 233 hitter, 330 on base, 700 OPS, just 11 home runs. He does have the speed. I liked seeing 38 steals and then 22 steals. And I know he had a down year because he was dealing with some shoulder injuries. I do have some concerns that will carry over into this season for the Dodgers, and it might take him a full year to get right. But if he is healthy, and I think the expectation is he might miss a month or so into the regular season, He's only 29, so I can see that there is some upside with Ha-Seong Kim. I mean, look at the discipline. He rarely strikes out. He's going to put the ball in play. He can walk at a pretty high clip as well. Defensively, I know he's a great shortstop or could play second or third base if needed, has an arm, and is pretty fast. But I'm just worried that the offense is going to take a dip. And to me, he's could end up being a younger version of Miguel Rojas, which I mean is kind of fine, but at the same time doesn't excite me. So I don't know if I want two Miguel Rojas like players on this team. So of the four, he would be at the bottom of my list in terms of priorities. I just don't think he's the right guy for the Dodgers. And close that out. So we've got we got some questions from Am I old? Isn't Kim out till after the All-Star break? I'd have to double check myself and see if that's the case. I mean, if that's true, that would turn me off even more or less from Ha-Seong Kim. I do not want a guy that's out till the second half of the season. But yeah, I mean, that would just blow. We got BC tuning in Christmas Eve. Yes, I'm here on Christmas Eve giving you guys a show. You guys can give me a Christmas gift by hitting that like button. If you're not subscribed to the show, hit that subscribe button and drop some questions. You can ask me Christmas questions. You can ask me movie questions, music questions, Dodgers, baseball, any questions you guys have for me. Ask them and I'll answer them. Just hit that like button. History Man 0828 tuning in. Go Dodgers and God bless. Thank you for tuning in. And Javier T, do you have more confidence with Justin or Landon Knack? In my opinion, Knack looked more promising. I'm going to be honest here. I actually have more confidence moving forward with Justin Robleski. The difference between Robleski and Landon Knack is the reason I think Landon Knack was able to adjust to the big leagues quicker than Robleski is it took Landon Knack a long time to even get here because Landon Knack was like 26 or 27 when he made his major league debut. He struggled for a number of years in the lower parts of the minors, and then it was able to start to get a hang of himself and get that promotion to the major league level. But I think Robleski, Robleski, you can't sleep on the fact that this guy started in he either started in single A, I think he started in double A ball and was able to work himself into Major League Baseball in 1 year. I think the talent is still there. He has a really electric fastball, and I think it's too soon to kind of write off Robleski. For me, it's when you look at Robleski, it was an accomplishment just to get to the Major League level after a pretty high rise, not even that much experience in double and triple A. So this is going to be a good year for him to get that spring training in there, work with the veterans, and become a better pitcher. Landon Knack, I am a little worried about him because I believe he'll start to run out of minor league options soon. And before you know it, he's going to have to be a big leaguer, or the Dodgers are going to have to cut bait with him and get someone that's younger and more controllable. First question coming up from Nando390. Thoughts on the new Superman trailer? Well, lucky for you, I did watch the Superman trailer a few days ago, and I have to say, I was pretty moved. I think this is going to be a pretty good Superman movie and maybe trilogy or series, whatever the plan here is. But James Gunn, the guy is a great director and creator. I mean, Guardians of the Galaxy was good. His version of Suicide Squad was pretty good. And I have no doubt that Superman is going to be good. You want to hear a hot take? Henry Cavill was not good as Superman. Henry Cavill sucked. So I'm glad they got rid of him. Not a good actor, not a good Superman. So bye, Henry. Peace out. Punch you away. I'm ready for a new Superman. I mean, Christopher Reeve is the best Superman, and I don't even think it's even debatable. I mean, those Superman movies were actually good, unlike the Henry Cavill ones. Those were not good. Dennis Gonzalez, how soon does Kike Hernandez get re-signed? I still think the Dodgers are going to eventually create room to get Kike Hernandez re-signed, but this might not be a late January or early February type of signing because let's be real. There's not a big market for a guy like Kike Hernandez who's pedestrian in the regular season and then wakes up come October. I mean, if the Dodgers really want to ride this one out, they could wait till they move some of those guys to the 60-day IL and then sign Kike Hernandez, which I would not be surprised if that's what they do. I mean, what's the rush, to be honest? Like, it's going to be probably a 1 year, maybe 2 year, not that expensive contract. Javier T, any good drinking spots in Culver City? I just got to Aleworks. Wow. I'm not there right now, but you're right down the street from where I live. Laurel Tavern, I believe that's not it. 33 Taps. 33 Taps in downtown Culver City. That's the spot, man. Nando 390, Ben Affleck was pretty terrible as Batman. Oh, he was trash. Easily the worst Batman ever. So, again, another guy I'm excited that they kicked to the curb. Ben Affleck as Batman sucked. He was terrible, was not believable. He blew it as Daredevil. He blew it as Batman. And Robert Pattinson has been much better as the current Batman. But none of them beat Christian Bale. That'll always be the best Batman. The Dark Knight, best Batman movie of all time. Dennis Gonzalez saying he disagrees about Cavill. Say what you will about the films, but he was good. Maybe I might have to rewatch them to get an opinion. But Batman versus Superman might have been the worst superhero movie I've ever seen. Pure trash. Chicago White Sox level. 2010s San Diego Padres bad of a film. Okay. So I'm going to cover the next topic now. So we talked about the outfielders. We talked about Teoscar Hernandez. Well, why don't we talk about some pitching now? So with Walker Buehler announcing yesterday with the Red Sox that they've came to an agreement of a 1 year, $21.05 million contract, that writes the end of an era for Walker Buehler and the Dodgers. And if you haven't watched the tribute video that I posted, please do so, and that'll kind of give you more insight of all the great memories of Walker Buehler and my take, I should say, on how Buehler was as a Dodger. I mean, simply electric. But I'm going to drop the cold hard facts right now with Walker Buehler. I don't think the Dodgers wanted Walker Buehler to come back for 2025. If they did, they would have offered him the qualifying offer. But they didn't offer him that. And I know that some people say they were doing him a service to try to not hurt his market. But let's be real. There wasn't really a market for Walker Buehler. And that's why he only got a 1 year contract from the Boston Red Sox. If the Dodgers wanted to do Walker Buehler a favor, they would have given him the qualifying offer. Because honestly, $21 million in 1 year was more than probably what Walker Buehler pitched himself into based off his last regular season, coming off 2 Tommy John surgeries, a very down year this most recent season. I mean, he was lights out and fire in October, but are you going to really pay someone $21 million for a small sample size in October? I don't think that's how executives operate. So if the Dodgers really were interested in bringing back Walker Buehler, they would have given him the qualifying offer, because there's probably a 95% chance that Walker Buehler accepts the qualifying offer, because they know what their market value is. And what this tells me is that the Dodgers, unfortunately, wanted to end this era with Buehler. Could be that they just didn't trust his stuff anymore. You know, they've got their machines and their analytics, and they're going to say what projects out for a pitcher. And maybe Buehler just didn't check enough boxes. And it didn't sound like they were very competitive with Walker Buehler in free agency. I don't even know if they offered him a contract. I'm sure that'll come out. But Buehler met with a lot of teams, and I'm pretty surprised that he was only able to land a 1 year contract, and that was with the Boston Red Sox. Now, he probably turned down multiple years, like the Athletics, I think, offered him a couple years, but he doesn't want to go pitch for Sacramento or wherever they're playing. The Red Sox are going to be competitive next year. I think that's an attractive destination for Buehler, and it's a cold weather team. Streets say that Walker Buehler likes pitching in cold weather, so I think that makes sense for a guy like Buehler. Fenway's not an easy place to pitch in. That green monster will be an adjustment, but I think the Red Sox will be competitive next year, and they seem to be a new destination for former Dodgers players. There's a lot less of them now since they're all leaving, but Walker Buehler is the next in line, and I don't know if him and Alex Cora will get along. I mean, they're going to get along, but I'm sure there will be a little bad blood from 2017 and 2018 more so. But yeah, I mean, it sucks, but I think that's the reality. I don't think the Dodgers had any intention on bringing back Walker Buehler for this upcoming year, just because of the down year and kind of wasn't on the field a whole lot either. So that begs the question then, why not offer Walker Buehler anything, or why not go after him? Well, I'll tell you why. And the answer is because the Dodgers are all in on Roki Sasaki. And it was always going to be one or the other. I don't think it was going to be both. I don't think there's enough room in the Dodgers rotation to fit both these guys. We're getting pretty cleaned up and pretty stacked now with who's in the rotation, which I'll go through in a second. But I think it was kind of evident that it was going to always be one of Walker Buehler or Roki Sasaki and not both. And because the Dodgers didn't go after Walker Buehler, that tells me they're extremely confident that they're going to land Roki Sasaki. Is it a guarantee and a lock that it's not going to happen? Of course not. But it's a very strong likelihood that we're going to get Roki Sasaki. We've heard from Bob Nightingale and others, it's in the 90% chance now that it's happening. I mean, the other big opponent is the Padres, but why on earth would Roki Sasaki want to go to the San Diego Padres, a team that's running out of money, a team that's going to have to sell off some players, it sounds like, because they can't afford them all, and a team with an aging Yu Darvish and the little brother to the juggernaut being the Los Angeles Dodgers? Why would you not want to put yourself in a position to play with Shohei Ohtani if you're Roki Sasaki? I mean, you look at the potential three-headed Japanese monster with Ohtani, Yamamoto, and Roki Sasaki all in your rotation. That's three guys right there. It's not going to happen right away, but Ohtani will hopefully be in the rotation by May. You got those three starters right there. And then Tyler Glasnow will be healthy. Throw him into the rotation. You just signed the other best free agent out there in Blake Snell. You've got him as your lefty in the rotation. That's five guys right there. They're going to go with a six-man rotation, and that's why Walker Buehler wasn't going to be able to fit in this, because you got Clayton Kershaw coming back. This was probably his legacy farewell tour. They want Kershaw in the rotation. You've got Landon Knack as some depth option. You've got Tony Gonsolin on the roster right now. He will be a starter, assuming he's not traded. Hell, do I know what they're going to do with Dustin May, but he is on the 40-man roster right now and could be a starter option, or they move him to the bullpen. And then eventually you'll get guys coming off the injured list midseason. You've got Emmett Sheehan as a starting pitcher option. You've got Justin Robleski. So we go through this dance every year. And of course, the Dodgers always seem to have an abundance of starting pitching, and then they just start to drop like flies. But hopefully Nick Frasso can stay healthy and make some spot starts for the Dodger this year. You've got Ben Kasparius on the 40-man roster. He could potentially make some starts for the Dodger. We talked about Landon Knack. Well, let's talk about Bobby Miller, because Bobby Miller is still on the roster. And are they going to write off his career? Absolutely not. Bobby Miller, for all we know, could turn around and become a serviceable starter again. I mean, the guy was pretty good as a rookie and then just fell off a cliff. So you know that they're going to be motivated to get Bobby Miller, right? One of their top pitching prospects at one point, a first-round pick. They're not going to give up on Bobby Miller. And when healthy, the guy is electric. He threw 5 elite pitches at one point. So, I mean, that's why they're not bringing back Buehler. That's why it's Sasaki or Walker Buehler, just because we don't have enough spots for all these guys. And yes, obviously people are going to get hurt, and then we're going to probably need to trade for a starter at some point. But the way things are stacked out right now, it's limited, and it's a numbers game. And with Roki Sasaki, the expectations are you're going to be signing a top 10 pitcher by the end of this upcoming season and adding him to your rotation. I wouldn't be shocked if by 2026, we're talking about Roki Sasaki already being better than Yoshinobu Yamamoto, and we're talking about Roki Sasaki being a Cy Young candidate. I think stuff-wise, Roki Sasaki has some of the best pure stuff up there with Paul Skeens in Major League Baseball. And if the Dodgers are able to pull this off, it's going to go down as one of the biggest monumental free agent signings that we've seen as Dodger fans. Because if I was to give you a draft board right now of all pitchers available, including Snell, Corbin Burns, Max Fried, Flaherty, you name it, and I'm drafting someone for the next 6 years, Roki Sasaki would be my first pick overall. I would take Roki Sasaki over Blake Snell. I'd take Roki over Corbin Burns because I'm that confident that Roki Sasaki is going to be that big of a difference maker in year one with the Los Angeles Dodgers. I heard the same nonsense about Yoshinobu Yamamoto, that he was inexperienced in Major League Baseball and it would take some time for him to adjust. And Yoshinobu Yamamoto was a World Series champion and completely shut down and dominated the Yankees year one of Major League Baseball. You know why? Because Yoshinobu Yamamoto is that good of a pitcher and proved it in Japan. And just like with Yamamoto, Roki Sasaki has done the same thing in Japan. And I think the move over to Major League Baseball will not be a big adjustment for Sasaki. I'm sure he'll have some starts where he'll get blown up, but he's also going to have some starts where he looks like the best pitcher in Major League Baseball. And so there's a reason the Dodgers have invested a lot of time in Sasaki. There's a reason they've kind of built this roster to have that spot open for Sasaki. And they've wanted him longer than they've wanted Yoshinobu Yamamoto. This has been years in the making. And if Roki Sasaki were to ride this thing out post when he is technically truly eligible and he's healthy, we're talking about someone that's probably going to get paid $400 million. And because Sasaki is bouncing a couple years early, taking one of the biggest pay cuts ever, maybe the biggest pay cut in baseball history, by posting himself and coming to the majors on probably a $5 to $7 million contract annually. That's bold. And that just tells you how ready, how much Sasaki wants to come to Major League Baseball. So that's why I would be surprised if he went to some random team like the Cubs, like the Red Sox, like the Mets, even the Padres. I'd be surprised. I think this is just setting it up for Roki Sasaki to get that deal done with the Dodgers on January 15th or whatever day he decides after the fact. Let's see. Nando 390, is Corbin Burns waiting on Roki Sasaki? Fair question. I don't think Corbin Burns is necessarily waiting on Sasaki. I think the issue is that Burns might have overplayed his hand and he's not going to get the contract that he was initially hoping for. It sounds like he's trying to get 8 years, $245 million or something, like basically $30 million a year. And I thought that would be more than fair for Corbin Burns, but apparently teams around Major League Baseball aren't going to give into that. And pitchers continue to get poached off the board left and right. And so Burns's market is certainly getting more limited now. But I mean, Corbin Burns, if he's available and Roki goes elsewhere, that's an excellent fallback plan for the Dodgers. The issue just kind of becomes the concern, though, of the tax the Dodgers would have to pay on that. And that's, I think, part of the Buehler thing, too, is it's not a $21 million pitcher for Buehler. You kind of have to double it. It's close to $40 million. And so if you do the same thing with Corbin Burns, you're paying double as well. But nothing screams Dodgers like a short-term, high AAV deal if Burns isn't able to get his market. And so if it's 3 years with an opt-out after like 1 year, and you give Corbin Burns 40-something million a year, I would love that for the Dodgers. So I think he's a fallback plan. It sounded like at one point he was going to be off the board very soon during the winter meetings, and that doesn't appear to be the case. The Giants were in on him. It doesn't sound like Corbin Burns is excited about playing for the Giants. The Toronto Blue Jays were also in on him. Maybe he's not excited about going to Toronto either. But yeah, so Roki Sasaki, target number one. If they don't get him, then we have to dive into the fallback plans. Justin Yamas saying, or Maria G, let's go with Maria G first. Burns should go to the Giants only because we hit off him. Interesting. Justin Yamas, Burns and Arenado more desperate to play in LA than LA are in on signing them. Funny stuff right there. And then you got Maria G. Kevin, explain why you want Nolan Arenado. So if we zoom out, Nolan Arenado's market is interesting right now because apparently nobody wants Nolan Arenado. Jack Curry, who covers the New York Yankees, said that the New York Yankees no longer want Nolan Arenado. Nolan Arenado was traded to the Astros, a team that wanted Nolan Arenado, but he vetoed that deal. And you've got Nolan Arenado, who, from all accounts, wants to be a Los Angeles Dodger. The issue is the Dodgers don't necessarily really have space for Nolan Arenado to play third base. Why would I want Nolan Arenado? Well, first of all, defensively, he's probably the greatest defensive third baseman of all time. He's a right-handed bat, so you've got that ability, even though the last couple of years he has not hit left-handed pitching well at all. But if you get Nolan Arenado, I think it's a really nice situation where you can get some scrubs off the team, like maybe Lux and Grove and Chris Taylor. And the Dodgers have all the leverage right now because of that no-trade clause. The Cardinals can't ask for a whole lot in exchange for an Arenado. They kind of have to take what they can get. And I do struggle with the idea of having Max Muncy play second base and Nolan Arenado play third base. I don't know how much we would get in a positive way from Muncy defensively at second base, but I don't think he'd be that much worse than Gavin Lux defensively at second base. So I'd be willing to take a chance. If the Dodgers do get Nolan Arenado, I do feel like it would be very cheap and not cost a whole lot in terms of return. And I like Nolan Arenado as a baseball player. I think he's very good and talented. So this is just me being greedy here, maybe being obsessed with what had been. But yeah, if the Dodgers get Nolan Arenado, definitely would be excited about that. So not here to talk about Nolan Arenado a whole lot today, as we've kind of talked about him at nauseum throughout the offseason. And I don't want to continue to just beat the same topic over, especially if he's not coming to the Dodgers. But yeah, we're going to get near the end of the show now. So if you haven't dropped your questions, drop any questions you have below in the chat. Here we are on Christmas Eve, I should say. And we're going to talk about some Christmas topics real quick. And I see we've got a Christmas question below real as well. So got a quick power ranking of the top Christmas foods. So very subjective. I think Christmas foods can mean a whole lot of things to different people. But for me, the top Christmas food are gingerbread men cookies. Number 2, I'm going with tamales. Number 3, give me eggnog. Number 4, Christmas ham. Number 5, general Christmas cookies. And then number 6, like a prime rib or a brisket, which normally on its own would be better than all of those. But in terms of Christmas, I got to put that there. And yeah, trying to think if I'm missing anything else, but no, I think that covers it. So let's get to the final questions real quick. Kevin, you're disrespecting Hollywood Lifestyle, who is actually the best hitting and defensive third baseman in the game right now. It's Christmas Eve, not April Fool's Day, Justin Yamas. Dennis Gonzalez, which Christmas set action movie do you like more, Die Hard or Lethal Weapon? For the record, he loves both. I got to go with Die Hard, which indeed is a Christmas movie. So I'm giving it Die Hard. Best action Christmas movie of all time. Probably the best Christmas movie by itself. I would go with It's a Wonderful Life. Elf is in my top 5. Die Hard's in my top 5. Home Alone's in my top 5. And then the other number 5, we'll leave it as a mystery for now. Am I old? Don't the Dodgers want the Cardinals to pay over $50 million of the $72 million owed for Nolan Arenado? I don't know if that's true. Am I old? But I do think you're right in terms of the Dodgers expecting the Cardinals to pay a significant amount of the salary. they wouldn't want to take all of that $62 million remaining. So I do think you're right that there would be expectations to pay some of the salary on the Cardinals end. Maria G, if you had to choose Home Alone or Elf, I think I'm going Elf. I think Elf is slightly more festive and more funny than Home Alone, but I love them both. They're both top 5, but I think I'm going Elf. Will Ferrell, legendary performance. Maybe the best Will Ferrell movie next to Anchorman of all time. Those are probably his top 2. Yeah. All right, so we're coming here at near the top of the hour, and no Dodgers news has broke, but here we are. Get your final questions in. If you haven't subscribed yet to the show, hit that subscribe button. If you got any questions, super chats, drop them below, and we'll peace out of here in just a minute. But appreciate all you guys for tuning in. Hope you guys have a very happy holiday. Merry Christmas to all you. Happy Hanukkah. Happy Kwanzaa. Happy holidays, as they say. Fun time here talking the latest Dodgers baseball. So to recap, Walker Buehler was let go in free agency, probably with the intention of going all in on Roki Sasaki. Teoscar Hernandez and the Dodgers haven't come to an agreement. They've explored the options of Luis Robert, Seiya Suzuki, and Ha-Seong Kim. And the final comments and questions coming from Justin Yamas. If Die Hard is a Christmas movie, then Gavin Lux is a shortstop. Don't agree there. Die Hard is most certainly a Christmas movie. I mean, it takes place on Christmas Day or whatever. There's a Christmas party going on. Best IPA, in my opinion, coming from Javier T. Well, I don't know if it's the best IPA, but I'm pulling it up right now of what kind of IPA I like. And here you go. The best IPA, hazy IPA. I don't really care about the brand, but the type for me, hazy IPA is my preferred IPA. So if we ever meet up, Javier T, we can have IPAs. Thank you guys for the holiday wishes. Maria G, Steve A, and we got Mike Boyer saying May would be an awesome closer. I don't even know if Dustin May could stay healthy enough to last a full season to be the closer. But I think we're going to get on out of here now. Doesn't look like we got any final questions. So we'll be back in a few days, hopefully covering some Dodger moves and some action. But until then, happy holidays, everyone. Merry Christmas, and everyone have a good rest of your week.